afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on where in the world you are joining me from. I am 𝐿𝐿uminati, and this is the Crypto and Cognac Podcast Show, as always, live every Thursday, 7 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, sharp, right here on YouTube. And if I'm here, Henny day here. This evening, I'm having some Hennessy, very special Old Pale VSOP, and we're gonna chop it up. We're gonna talk a little bit about market conditions. We're gonna talk a little bit about whether or not we are at the beginnings of an alt season, and we're gonna talk a little bit about who, interestingly enough, is leading this movement towards alt season. We're gonna talk a little bit about Bitcoin dominance and how that plays into this whole narrative. We're going to talk a little bit about the craziness. Of course, it can't be crypto if some crazy ish isn't happening, especially around meme coins, because crypto is not a real place. Right? But before we jump into all that, as always, we have to do the housekeeping. I have to remind you guys of the fact that I am not a financial advisor. This is not a financial advisory podcast, right? And do your own advice. Do your own research. Don't take my advice, right? Of course, information, conversation, education, the ICE rule. Same way we have our yak is the same way we have our crypto conversations, right? This is purely for educational and entertainment purposes only. So, as always, make sure you drink, drive, and degen responsibly. With that said, and with that out of the way, let's get straight into it. So, over the last week, I would say maybe the last 2 weeks, the market has been a bit sideways. Down and sideways is how I would categorize it. As we sit here right now, let me see. I think Bitcoin is just above 96,000. Ethereum is just about above 2,600. But interestingly enough, what has been impressive has been the performance of BNB, right? BNB currently sits at approximately, I think, just over $675, somewhere around there. But over the last week or so, or over the last few days, BNB has been rallying, attracting the attention of investors, analysts, meme boys, everybody, because it has been pumping. It went up all the way to, I think, $720 something, touched there and came back down to where it is right now. But it has been outperforming the rest of the market significantly, right? And what are some of the reasons that this has occurred, right? So, of course, market sentiment, right? But before we get into the market sentiment, we're going to touch a little bit on the ecosystem growth. The Binance Smart Chain ecosystem continues to attract a wide range of decentralized applications or dApps, right? Projects continue to move across to the BNB ecosystem, to the Binance Smart Chain ecosystem. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that since 𝐂𝐍 has been forced to give up his role as the CEO of Binance, he has made it a commitment to work in other areas of the crypto space, specifically as it relates to supporting the work of decentralized applications, supporting the growth of the ecosystem, supporting the growth of projects in the ecosystem. And I think we're seeing some of that kind of paying off in terms of the growth in popularity of the BNB, the Binance Smart Chain ecosystem as it relates to developers and builders wanting to build on that chain, because you want to go where the resources are, you want to go where there is support for what you are building. Of course, in this tech space, having access to capital is very important. So with 𝐂𝐍 being willing to support in that way, becoming an investor, he's been very vocal that he wants to be an investor, he wants to be a mentor, and he wants to help grow that side of the space. And I think we're seeing the results of that. Obviously, as the ecosystem grows, the market sentiment in that ecosystem continues to grow. We are seeing some more and more IDOs kind of popping up, strategic partnerships. As people like 𝐂𝐍 get involved, other investors tend to follow, and the general market sentiment has been strong, as we saw a couple months ago in the Solana ecosystem. Of course, where there is positive market sentiment, there is going to be a positive application of that sentiment in the charts, and then the technical indicators start to come into play, and it's kind of a, what is the right word, confirmation bias kind of kicks in, and the more people that pay attention, the more people invest, the more the charts say that it's bullish, the more the charts say that it's bullish, the more people want to invest, the more people want to pay attention, and it kind of keeps going that way until something significant happens that changes the sentiment, right? And then we're going to see the charts follow to suit. And that's why I always say, before technical analysis, I think that sentiment analysis is far more important, because it is going to drive the sentiment. It's going to drive what the chart says, right? Sentiment drives the technicals, in my opinion. Another positive thing that has happened is that within the last couple of days, we've seen that the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission in the United States, have paused their legal challenge to Binance as a company. And I think this, when it rains, it pours, but when it shines, everything seems like a rainbow, So all of this happening at the same time has really improved the sentiment around BNB. Maybe it was held back, maybe it's all manipulation, we don't know, but we're going to run with what we see. And of course, 𝐂𝐍 being out of jail, he's been back, he's been very vocal. If you're not following him on X, I think you're doing yourself a disservice in terms of wanting to pay attention to what is happening in this crypto space. And his vocal presence has been creating, like I say, more and more positive sentiment. Of course, we've seen Bitcoin dominance kind of dip a bit, and Bitcoin dominance has always been a key indicator as it relates to whether or not we are in an alt season or not. I think right now Bitcoin dominance stands around 60%, but historically a decline in Bitcoin dominance has often preceded alt season. So usually how it works is, and I don't think that this is the full alt season, but I think within the step up, there are going to be points where people take profits, they roll those profits from Bitcoin into alts, into major alts, and then roll them back into Bitcoin, and keep going in that way as they continue to build their wealth, the people who have the power to influence these moves. The alt season index, which is a gauge of the performance of altcoins against Bitcoin over a 90-day period, is currently at a 43. So it's not saying alt season yet, right? Generally, above 75 is typically the indicator for the fact that we are in on all season fully. But I think if this recent performance of BNB continues, we are going to see the sentiment change, and maybe we're gonna see that number creep up or go up all at once. I think what is different about this is that traditionally Ethereum has been the token that moves, that kind of signals the alt season. And as of right now, we've not really seen Ethereum do much because most of the altcoins, most of the traditional dApps have been on the Ethereum network. And so the increased activity on Ethereum usually is a signal that, there's increased activity in the ecosystem. I think this time around, with Solana being the powerhouse in terms of activity that it has been, and now we're seeing similar with BNB, I think maybe Ethereum might not be the catalyst to this cycle's all season, or we could just follow how things have always been, and we see ETH really be the indicator again. But honestly, Ethereum has not done much in the last year. It's been very stagnant. It's been operating, some people calling it the new and largest stable coin. But we are seeing the President Trump and his business interests taking a lot of interest in Ethereum. So who's to say that they're not gonna, continue to create some momentum there that the Ethereum ecosystem ultimately benefits from, and then we see that jump starting the official alt season for 2025. I think we are seeing a general shift back from the very conservative approach, and people investors taking a greater level of interest in risk on assets, in which crypto, I think, plays a major part. I think there have been a few things that have kind of, what is the word, boy, stymied the development of this particular cycle. I think as it becomes more popular to be in crypto, everyone is kind of looking for that immediate pump and that immediate cash grab. So we're seeing, as soon as something gets hot, people dive in head first, meme coins or otherwise, that sucks a ton of liquidity out of the market, or out of the traditional altcoins. And these people aren't very committed. So as soon as the narrative changes, they're willing to sell it off. They panic sell, and they end up exit liquidity for someone who has been a little bit longer in the market, a little bit more strategic, or they get robbed outright, right? And we are seeing that happening a lot with meme coins. Today, like I said, 𝐂𝐍 has been very vocal since over the last couple of weeks, since the continued growth in the BNB ecosystem, the Binance Smart Chain ecosystem. He's been very vocal. People have been talking about a meme coin related to his pet dog. He has been actively kind of like, playing in the space, in terms of teasing that he's going to release the name of his dog, so that people could start creating a meme. How does it happen? Blah, 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 blah. Well, somebody went back, found the name of his dog, Broccoli, and just today we have seen literally hundreds of tokens with the name Broccoli 𝐂𝐍, 𝐂𝐍 Broccoli. And it's been crazy. Most of these coins have resulted in rugs. Most of these coins have resulted in people investing and losing their shit. Most of these coins we've seen where they pump it up a little bit and then they pull liquidity and everybody else has to catch. So obviously the drawback of the attention is that some people are going to take advantage and some people are going to be taken advantage of. So as always, you have to be safe. You have to be smart. Don't invest more than you could afford to lose. Hopefully, if CZ does endorse one of these meme coins, he's going to share the contract address, and maybe some of us might, benefit from a little $2 here. As of right now, I think BNB is leading the way, but I do not think that we are in all season yet. I think we have some more Bitcoin growth to go. I think we're going to see it start happening when all these strategic Bitcoin reserves get officially rolled out and we start seeing these first set of purchases from those strategic Bitcoin reserves. And then all the attention is going to go back into Bitcoin until we get to the point where people feel like, it's getting a little frothy. We're seeing the greed fear index topping out and people decide, time to pull some of this money back to safety. And then we're going to see some of it rotate into the major alts and the minor alts and the meme coins. We're going to see things get super, super overheated. And then boom, it's going to be all over and we are going to be back in a bear market at the end of the cycle, because that's what we know, right? But I think we have quite a bit of time before we get to that point. I think all of 2025 is going to continue to be positive. So while I don't think that this is all season, it's kind of interesting to see BNB and some of the other networks kind of leading the charge. It's kind of interesting to observe Ethereum layer 2s or parallel networks built on the same EVM network protocol do better than Ethereum. So as always, we watch and wait, right? And hopefully we make some money along the way, right? So guys, that is my time for this evening. Thank you so much as always for joining me. Adoption is inevitable, right? Adoption is inevitable. So pay attention, do your research, listen to Stephen sometimes, don't listen to Stephen most of the times, because he is a wild man who has done his heavy lifting to understand what this crazy cryptic world of cryptocurrency is about. So he takes big risks, right? But yeah, do your own research. Illuminati, OUT. What cartel say? What is that on the mouth?